Welcome to Season 3, Episode 2 of Sincerely Tactless, where we discuss South Park and the old favorite Am I the A-hole dilemmas. Unfortunately, Sasha's not with us. She was pretty upset about Prince Harry's tell-all. It wasn't exactly a tell-all. He neglected to mention that time that she lent him her phone charger in Dulles Airport. Or maybe that could have been Shaun White. All gingers look the same to her. Anyway, let's get into it now. Dear listeners, just when you thought that it couldn't get any worse, it's about to get funnier. Sincerely Tactless.
I'm Sasha. I'm a girl with a warm heart, and I'm already sick of your shit, so don't try me. But I still love you.
I'm Tony. I'm a frustrated musician who will tell you to your face, being a dog mom is not a thing.
Hi, I'm Lizzie. I'm the tiny lady marmalade that holds this turd sandwich together.
Well, I feel like we should preface this by saying that we want privacy. We want privacy.
I don't want anyone to listen to this because we want our privacy, but we're going to stream it. We are going to put it on every service that you could possibly, so don't actually listen or contribute in any way.
Absolutely. Yeah. Haven't you guys ever heard
Just
of
want to live
privacy?
normal lives. Haven't you heard of privacy? Oh my God. I haven't laughed that hard in a long time.
No joke. If you guys haven't seen it, it's the South Park episode that recently came out about vaguely about M&H. They don't actually call them that. It's actually the Prince of Canada.
Yeah, the Prince and Princess of Canada. Fitting. I think that this is the reason that I love not just South Park, but comedy in this vein in general, just because I think comedy has this like unique ability to just pull the curtains off of things and just show you what it really looks like to everybody, and that's exactly what they're doing here. They did a fantastic job of just showing it like it really is, and in such a funny way. If you guys haven't seen it, I mean, basically what it is well, we'll just call them who they are. Harry and Meghan as the Prince and Princess of Canada, demanding from everybody that they get privacy and they could just live normal lives, but they do so by setting off fireworks in front of their house and going on a tour across the world, yelling at everyone with signs that they want privacy.
It's the worldwide privacy tour.
Yeah, they even have their own theme song. It's great. This harkens back to something we were talking about when, like, a normal person, I guess that you would call it, then stop doing this stuff. Like, don't write a book. Don't do a tell-all Netflix docuseries. Don't go on 60 Minutes. Just quietly go live in Canada and people leave you alone. And that's at one point too. Harry and Meghan even go, and I guess they've been before to establish their brands, but they even throw out that Meghan is an Instagram influencer,
sorority girl
victim. Oh God.
I know, what a delight. That was so spot on too, like a building, like, because that's kind of a thing right now anyway. Like, you have to have your personal brand and all that.
Yeah. Well, and everyone's hurt by something, so you have to be a victim in some way, right? Yeah. Millionaire world traveler, Prince victim. So I think they were really spot on with that kind of stuff. It was hilarious, and I mean, all that would serve to do is to show us that they are exactly who South Park is saying that they are. There's no getting around that. But I haven't heard anything about them actually doing it. I just heard a rumor about it. I don't know if you've heard anything, right?
I wonder if they made a statement about it. Let's see. Oh, that's funny. The Daily Mail headline says Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's popularity in US slumps even further after South Park episode.
I didn't think they were too popular to begin with, but I guess somebody's hanging on to that.
That's hilarious. Okay, it says they will not be suing Business People magazine. No, Meghan Markle and Prince Harry are not suing over South Park episode. It's all nonsense, quote unquote. That was their spokesperson. You know what would have been the greatest thing though? Like if they'd come out and said, that was hilarious. We're so honored to be, even if you don't have a sense of humor, just to say that.
Yeah, just to make them appear somewhat human, steer into the skid a little bit.
Just a little bit. It would have been against brand though. I mean, maybe that's the whole problem.
Yeah,
All
exactly. Right. I also like to the Good Morning Canada show from South Park that they went on, and the host of the show is saying, you guys really don't like journalists and you don't like all of this attention. So you wrote a tell-all book about the royal family. Doesn't that make you a journalist?
How dare you? We live in Canada. We want our
get offended.
How many princes in their lives?
It's outrageous.
It is outrageous. Well, and you pointed out when we were watching it, the fact that they had their private plane, because they move in across the street from Kyle, I should say that first, in South Park, and they drive their private plane down the street.
Yeah, and then all the movers get out of the private plane with all their stuff, and Prince Harry sets up a drum kit in the front yard and starts playing drums, and then demanding that no one look at him because he wants privacy. And he's playing polo in the front yard.
Right at 10:30 at night with fireworks and the whole shebang. Oh my gosh.
The banners that say "Leave us alone," and lights and stuff. That's just how ridiculous this whole thing is to me, is that, if they really wanted to be left alone, they could go away and no one would follow them. I mean, maybe somebody would try to get an interview with them here or there, but I really, really, truly don't believe that they would be in the headlines at all. I think people would just give up and say, forget it, and they're just perpetuating the whole thing by doing all this stuff. And I seriously think a lot of it is Meghan. I think that I really do believe she's a narcissist and she loves it. I just have to come out with that. Her actions speak much louder than what she tries to say in the interviews, and I just think she loves it. She's always all over Instagram. She's always posting, like, she likes it. She likes the attention. You can't say that she doesn't.
It's pretty nuts, right? Like, they wanted privacy and all that deal, but yeah, she's got a Spotify podcast now.
And she married a prince, for God's sake. I mean, before she married a prince, she was just like a B to C list actress. I mean, no, she wasn't like a huge deal or anything. This just elevated her to this level of fame. And who doesn't think you're going to be famous marrying a prince? I mean, seriously.
That's a good point.
Just the idea of, I married a prince and I'm an actress and I just want to live a normal life. Like, all of your life choices show that you don't want to lead a normal life, that you want to just like be out there for people to see you. So hard time believing her.
That's the thing. You have to marry like a prince of a boring country that nobody knows of.
Is there such a thing anymore?
I don't know. I was thinking like Monaco, but no, like when Grace Kelly married the guy from Monaco, she still like got a lot of press, so maybe not so much.
One of those Nigerian princes that needs your help with their bank account, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, they
never
got all
name
that money.
Themselves.
They don't. There's a lot of them though, apparently, right?
They send out email blasts. It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, question for you: if hypothetically Harry did become a normal person and had to get like a job, what do you think he would do?
Oh my God. I don't even know what he'd be qualified to do.
Nothing.
It'd be one of those like Hunter Biden situations where he'd be some kind of like super vague consultant for something, you don't exactly know what he does, but he makes a ton of money every year and supports his alcoholic, drug-fueled lifestyle. Like it's one of those things to me. Like I don't see any company being like, oh, there's value in this guy, other than the fact that he's a prince. I mean, I don't know. I mean, he didn't even write his own book,
Yeah, that's
right?
fair.
Like, it's not like he could say I'm a writer. Like, you had a ghostwriter, bro. Come on. He was in the military as a helicopter pilot. I don't know how good he was. I mean, maybe he could like fly for the news or something, right? Those,
Yeah.
air ambulances or something.
Oh
I forgot
yeah,
about that though. He is a helicopter pilot,
that's
so
true. He did fly
he could
Black
probably get
Hawks.
something. He
That
wouldn't
would
be
be good.
famous anymore. I don't know the names of any helicopter pilots.
No.
Not personally. That's all he could really do. And that's just thanks to his being a prince, really. I mean, they all have to serve in the military, right?
Yeah.
In some capacity. So that's the only thing I can think of.
Right? Yeah, or like Prince of the Skies helicopter tours, like over the valley or something like that.
It'd have to be in Vegas if it was something like that. It'd be so cheesy.
Yeah, he takes you over the strip, the lights at night or whatever.
Yeah, I can see that.
Hopefully he's qualified for more things. I don't know. But I mean, like anybody could technically learn to like bag groceries at the big supers or whatever,
Oh my God. Could you imagine if he's like a greeter at Walmart?
That would be
Or
that
like
would
he
be
goes somewhere and he's
hilarious.
like security guard. He says like straight up regular job. I don't know. What's a super normal job?
That would be funny
Anything.
though. Like, yes, nighttime security at the mall or something like that. Like he walks around
Yeah.
with his little lunchbox and a flashlight.
He's a mail carrier or something.
Oh yeah.
Prince Harry delivered a package to my house today. You imagine? He works for Amazon as a delivery driver.
That'd be funny. There have been royal sightings all over all over San Bernardino with
So it's weird. I don't know.
oh my goodness.
It's like,
Yeah.
sometimes like celebrities will like do a PR thing where they'll like work like a drive-through at a Burger King or something. Stuff. Got Prince Harry delivering Amazon packages. Come on, Amazon, get on this. We got a good idea for your PR.
Should we spoil the ending of the South Park episode?
I think we're gonna have to because that part was so heartwarming.
Because the surprising thing about this one is that it's Kyle, right, that makes kind of a little speech first that
Mm-hmm.
in trying to cultivate a brand, you made yourself into a product, and who wants to really be a product? And it's funny because those words really get to Harry, who up to this point has hated Kyle the entire episode.
Yeah, thinks he's a spy.
And Harry goes, "You're right. We've made ourselves into products." And he's about ready to walk away from all of it. And he's like, "Come on, wife or honey," or whatever he calls me. Yeah, he calls her honey, right? Or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
And he walks out of the office where they're getting their brand management thing done. And he walks out, and guess who stays behind? Megan, because she's like totally indoctrinated to the brand thing. And he goes off by himself. And very sweetly, the South Park kids go and play basketball at the very end. And Harry shows up and he goes, "Hey guys, can I play?" And they're like, "Yeah, sure." And he brings his drum kit and starts drumming.
Hey, it was a step in the right direction. He doesn't
But,
quite know how
yeah.
to be normal, but that's okay.
Yeah, that was like as normal as he knows how to be. Like it was
But I
really
think-
sweet.
Yeah, and I think it's nice that they, it ended on a positive, but I think it's also I think they were very deliberate in Harry moved on without Meghan.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is probably the general consensus from a lot of people I've spoken with. A lot of things that I've read is a lot of people feel for Harry, but they don't. People got nothing for Meghan. She seems to be the one that's orchestrated the whole thing and kind of
Right.
perpetuating the whole thing. And like he's still redeemable, I guess, in people's eyes.
Mm-hmm.
But Meghan is just like done for, I guess. I mean, that's kind of how I feel too. I don't feel like she can come back. I feel like she really truly loves the limelight. She loves all of that stuff, and she doesn't want to do anything different. When you see Harry interviewed apart from her, he does seem like a different guy,
Mm-hmm.
which makes you think that maybe he does have some reservations about what's going on. Maybe he really is, thinking about this stuff, and I don't know, maybe he does need to stand up and walk away from all of it. I don't know if that means that he's going to have to walk away from Megan, probably, but I don't know. Maybe he's still reachable too. Maybe he watched this and maybe got some thoughts flowing in his head about
Right.
what people really think about them, and maybe he needs to make some changes.
That would be so good because I'm sure they're surrounded by yes people or they smoke treat
Oh,
them, right? Like they just send them off.
guaranteed.
And yeah, this would be great if he saw it and was like, "Oh yeah, by the way, yes, this is like an exaggeration. I don't actually play drums on my lawn, but it's exactly what I'm doing though."
Yeah, and I think it maybe would serve him well to at least take a look at it, and with an open mind.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think, like I said before, I think this is the great role of comedy in society, is to point this stuff out in such a way that we take a step back and say, yeah, we followed this, and now we've reached the point of ridiculous,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that comedy really serves to rein in some of that stuff in a good way. That's why I'm totally against all of the whole, trying to shut down, Dave Chappelle and Bill Burr and some of those guys that are like kind of edgy with some of the stuff that they say. There's a lot of truth there too. And
Mm-hmm.
some of it, yeah, it's hilarious.
Yeah.
Would people get offended? Maybe, but that's the whole point, is like getting people to look inward a little bit, get a little introspective and say, yeah, that was uncomfortable. Well, but why? Why is it uncomfortable? Is it uncomfortable because you don't like people pointing out a flaw, or you know, struck a chord because you are doing something that really is ridiculous and you don't want to admit it? Like, I think that's healthy to have people take a look at stuff like that. And God bless South Park for doing that time and again. I mean, if there's one show that regularly makes fun of everything and everyone, it's them. And I think it's needed for sure.
Oh, for
I'm
sure.
glad they're around.
Yeah, well done. Well done, South Park. Well done. And to circle back to Harry without Meghan, their life goals seem very opposed to each other. And I don't think that usually makes for a good marriage, right? Like she definitely wants the limelight, and that's fine, but that's not what he wants. He's had the limelight his entire flippin' life, and he's ready to go, yeah,
Yeah.
do some mall security, be Paul Blart in Nevada somewhere,
Get that man a Segway.
I bet you he would be like way happier doing something smaller, but maybe that made a difference. Like you were saying, even the medevac or something like that. Like that would be, he would be helping people, and maybe that would be more fulfilling in the long term.
Yeah, I think it might. Maybe that is what he's looking for, is more of a sense of purpose, other than just being a figurehead. I don't know. Maybe we could tell his people to call up our people. We'll interview him on the,
Yeah, yeah,
because we're so well known.
we are.
He'll have plenty of privacy on our podcast because
Mm-hmm. Plenty.
our millions of listeners. We
By
gotta
the
stop.
way, if you're on wherever you're listening to this right now, please make sure that you subscribe and then tell at least one friend. We like privacy,
Please
but
do.
not that much privacy.
We want a reasonable level of unprivate privacy that's not too private, but we still want people to listen to us.
Yeah.
So this one is titled, Am I the A-hole for saying husband has sour grapes? Just as a little aside before we get into this, I had to look this up. I thought that it had a totally different meaning. Apparently, sour grapes is just like a bad attitude. It has nothing to do with the man's grapes. So, anyway, all of that aside, let's get into this one. I, 30-year-old female, have been friends with Steve and Jess for several years. Last year, Steve discovered he had celiac disease and they decided to become a no gluten household. According to Jess, he's not extremely sensitive, and I believe this because at their November wedding, he ate gluten-free waffles made on the same maker as the regular ones and was fine. But Jess is still super careful. Understandable. She isn't allowed to bring gluten in the house because Steve gets angry he can't eat it. Those are her words. This applies to restaurants where if my husband and I go on a double date, Steve insists on a restaurant with no gluten, so no pizza, burgers, Mexican, or Italian. It's usually a wings place only. Jess loves baking, so the no gluten has been tough, especially no bread. We went out for late Valentine's last weekend, and Jess jokingly said she'd have to sneak some of my pizza because Steve is forbidding her from eating gluten at all. I laughed, thinking she was joking, but she ordered cauliflower crust pizza, took a few bites, then asked for a slice of mine. I asked her why she didn't just order a regular pizza. She said Steve would would want her to eat her Steve would want to eat her leftovers, so she's not allowed to eat anything that he can't eat, even when he's not around. I said, sounds like Steve has sour grapes, and pointed out that my husband loves mushrooms, which I'm allergic to, but don't forbid him from eating or bringing them in the house as long as he's careful. Things were awkward after that. And apparently, Jess said something to Steve because Steve texted my husband that night, told him he needs to educate me on celiac. Also, Jess isn't talking to me. It's been a week. Am I the a-hole? I know celiac is serious, but he seems extreme and borderline controlling, not even letting her eat at restaurants. It's not sitting right with me. Let's see. Let me go back to the beginning here. All right. So it sounds to me too from the beginning, it says they decided to become a no gluten household. I'm sure that was his wife, trying to support him because he found out he had celiac disease. Because it doesn't sound like he's extremely sensitive to it because of this instance where he ate gluten-free waffles made on the same waffle maker. And, as far as, I have some mild experience with this kind of stuff, and cross-contamination is a big deal for people with celiac. So you're supposed to clean everything very well, or actually have a separate set of utensils and everything that you use to make the gluten-free stuff. So he really must not be too sensitive to it if he was totally fine with the waffles. But this whole thing about his wife not being able to bring gluten in the house, she can't eat things with gluten, even if he's not there, that's overstepping. To me, in a marriage or in any relationship, you're supposed to care about the other person. You're supposed to love the other person to the point where you would sacrifice yourself for them. I mean, that's what true love would look like. And him not even being able to sacrifice food is just, I think it really leads into a deeper problem that these people probably have in their relationship. Because as far as things go with me, you're supposed to be loving towards your partner, and if even if you can't do something or can't have something, if you know that it's something that would make them happy, you would want them to do it. You would want them to be happy. Like, I don't know, if I got violently seasick every time I was on a boat and my partner was just like, this is just a thought of mine, because I've seen this a lot, and I've seen this behavior a lot with things like, and it's not just celiac, but it's things like that, where where it makes me question if these people really do have a, a big problem with gluten or a terrible allergic reaction to whatever, or if they just use that as an excuse to try to make everything about them. And if it's a health issue or something like that, they don't feel so bad maybe that they're that they're making themselves the front and center of attention all the time. But I think that there's got to be some component of that here too, because it seems like this guy just wants to be everything and no one can do anything apart from him. And if your wife's not even with you, let her eat a burger. What is wrong with you? You know what I mean? Like what does that have to do with anything? And
That's the
apparently
thing,
he's like
yeah.
demanding her leftovers too when she gets home. So she can't order anything he won't eat. Like let her have her own leftovers too, dude. Like what's going on with your wife?
Oh
Ugh.
no.
I mean, now that we make fun of people for talking about CrossFit all the time, it's turned into something else, right? I mean, that was what it was for the longest time. Like the first rule of CrossFit is you have to tell everybody that you do CrossFit. Now it's like if you have a food allergy, you have to mention that. Like my name is whatever. It's like in an AA meeting, like my name's Tony and I have a food allergy, and you better know that. Don't bring a peanut near me. Like,
Yeah.
and I am sensitive to this kind of stuff. If you really do have a serious allergy, which is a small percentage of people, like can't be in the room with a peanut or
Yeah.
whatever. And that's understandable. But the people that are like that, I've noticed, don't throw it out here. Like they really are, I don't know, almost like humble about what's going on. They're not like blasting
Yeah.
it out. And it seems to be the people that have like very mild reactions, if any, or the people that self-diagnose with this stuff that are just like yelling it from the rooftops. Like everybody has to know that I
Yeah.
live and I struggle with this, and this is my terrible victim story. Maybe they went to the brand management consulting firm that Kyle went to. I don't know, where they they
They're like, you're
identify
a celiac, gluten-free victim.
Instagram influencer victim. Kind of just, I don't know. It seems like it points to that, and especially in this case because the things aren't lining up. This guy is
Yeah.
putting his celiac on everybody else. Like
Mhm.
everybody else got it, which is not the way that you should act towards your partner at all. I mean, that's not love. It's just not.
It isn't. And I'm thinking, I have a friend who has celiac, and all she does is she just brings her own stuff everywhere. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? Like she's really unobtrusive about it. I remember asking her one time, I was like, "Oh, you don't like I think we made homemade pizza or something like that." She's like, I was like, "Oh, you don't like pizza?" And she's like, "Actually, I can't eat it." So she wasn't going to make it my problem. It was going to be, hey, I brought a dish to share, and she's an amazing cook,
exactly.
by the way. She
Well,
makes
and
great
and that's
stuff.
the right way to go about it. And that's the way to look at it. Is it's something that affects you, so you
Mm,
take care of it. It's not everyone else's place to make sure that they accommodate you all the time. Some things are just up to you. You're an adult. If you can't have tomatoes, then don't order from a place that has tomatoes, like, or say without or whatever. Go to a burger place and get a lettuce wrap so your friends can still have burgers. It's not like, especially in this guy's case, it's pretty obvious it's not like a life-threatening thing for him.
mm.
So, he could make certain concessions and say, yeah, this is something I have to live with, and I have to be, flexible because this is something that I live with. And his poor wife, it it seemed to me too like she ordered the cauliflower pizza, took a couple of bites, and was like, "Can I have the real thing now?" Like she was only doing it because he would get upset with her. It didn't seem like she liked it. I mean, I don't think I've ever had cauliflower crust pizza. I don't know if it's good or not, but
Yeah, I have no idea.
I've had cauliflower rice though, and that's pretty good.
That is good.
but it is kind of more akin to rice than anything else.
Mhm.
But she obviously isn't enjoying it, and that brings me back to the whole point of a relationship is to serve your partner. And if your partner would be happy flying planes and you're deathly afraid of flying, then get them involved in a club where they can go out with other people and fly. Don't tell them they have to stay grounded forever just because you don't want to go. That's the epitome of selfishness.
That's the thing. Well, and if it was her choice to be like, hey, you can't have gluten, I'm going to be gluten-free for you or whatever, that's fine. But I don't think that he has the right to dictate that.
Not at all. No, not at all.
She's going to go home, though, and he's going to be like, I smell gluten on your breath.
Oh
I
my
know
God.
what you've been up to.
I see a spot of gluten on your sleeve. Who were you with? What were you doing?
He's got like a light, kind of like the ones that they use to find blood spatter and stuff like that.
The
It's
UV
a
light.
Yeah. There's gluten on your head. Show me your head.
He has to pat her down when she gets home. I found a saltine in your pocket.
Yeah, I was gonna go with Fig Newtons. Are these Fig Newtons?
Leave my sight immediately. How could you?
They're like, yeah, I've been sleeping on the couch all week because I brought home Lucky Charms.
I had a Fig Newton in my purse. My husband freaked out. People are like, what? What does that have to do with anything? Oh God.
It's not mine.
It was planted, I swear to God. Like, could have like a whole drug bust thing going on. He's like emptying her purse out on the table. What is this? Where did you get it? Tell me who your supplier is. I went to the bakery outlet, I swear. No.
It was a very aggressive sample giver at Costco.
You're right.
They wouldn't let me get away without the bruschetta.
I didn't want to say no. They were buttery garlic knots. They look delicious. I feel for people in this situation too, because like I said, there's something deeper going on there. If this is coming out to friends, then I cringe to think of what their home life, like what their actual relationship is like. He's got to be like super forceful and demanding, and that's just not good.
Hopefully they can get marriage counseling. If you happen to hear this, please go get counseling.
For sure.
Did we beat that one to death with a breadstick?
Yeah, I think we're with a baguette.
All right. Our next one is, am I the a-hole for deleting a game from my boyfriend's PC so he won't spend any more money on it? This sounds like a doozy. My boyfriend and I live together and have started to discuss getting engaged and what that would look like for us, like joint expenses and how we'd handle our finances. When we were listing out our individual monthly expenses, he noted money put aside for a game that he plays with his brother and sister. The amount is $90 a month. Sorry. I'm editorializing. Now I understand him putting some money on their accounts since they're both still in school, one finishing high school and the other in college. But I feel $30 a month for him is a bit excessive, especially for a game that he's frankly too old to play, even if he does only ever play when they do. I kind of want to know what this game is now. I just found out that for Christmas, they both asked for $80 worth of credits for their game, and he gave it to them. And to me, that's starting to get into alarming spending habits on something intangible and not holding any value. So I tried to talk to him about it and how I don't want him to spend any more money on the game, so his brother and sister will have to earn the money themselves. My boyfriend refused and thought I was overreacting over a holiday gift since he doesn't go wild with it any other time and he pays for it out of money he sets aside for his fun and hobbies. He doesn't understand how irresponsible this is and how easily it could get out of control, and that kind of money adds up over time. He could be putting it towards savings or expenses for us. When he left for work, I deleted the game from his PC. Oh dear. I know he can get it downloaded again, but I really want him to hear me out on this. If we're going to be engaged, that means we should be smarter with our money, and one of us has an issue with how the other is spending. It should be respected and listened to. Dom. Instead of talking with me, when I told him what I did and why, he got upset and left the apartment without talking to me at all. He came home, but thinks I'm making an issue out of nothing And by doing that, I'm indirectly controlling his brother and sister and won't sleep in our room until I apologize and drop it. So I'm asking outsiders if what I did was really bad or not. AITA. Good Lord. This reminds me, I have a friend slash coworker. They had this, it was not over a game, but they were dealing with their budget and they were out and about and he had like, they have like play money that they can play with,
Yeah.
buy whatever you want. He bought a magazine that was like $10. It was like a special edition magazine or something like that. And she flipped the freak out on him over this magazine. We're trying to save money and all this stuff. It turns out at least 3 times a week, this girl goes to Starbucks and will text me and go, "Hey, do you want anything from Starbucks?"
Ooh.
And I was like, budget is a little bit more than his magazine budget. Like, how often does he buy magazines? you know? So I'm kind of curious what this person's fun money looks like. Like what are they spending stuff on or whatever.
Yeah.
I There's probably a lot more to this. Like, does he do too much for his siblings in her mind? Or I
It
think
it
that's a lot.
honestly sounds to me like she doesn't like the fact that he plays the game to begin with, because she
Hmm.
said he's too old for it anyway.
Yeah.
And like she kind of maybe resents him playing the game, so she's trying to turn it into a money issue. Because I'm a little more, I guess, open to stuff like this because first of all, I mean, she does admit that he only plays it with his siblings.
Hmm.
So maybe that's just like a good time that they get to spend together doing something, doing an activity that they all enjoy
Yeah.
and getting to connect with each other. And yeah, I agree that $90 a month is up there, but what does his budget look like? Is this, the only thing that he's really spending on for stuff like that, or is he blowing
Mhm.
money on other stuff too? You know what I mean? Like he may have just cut out a lot of other stuff so that he could spend $90 a month on this so he could, have that connection with his siblings. And in that case, I don't necessarily see anything wrong with that. I mean, people spend more money than that a week just eating out. You know what I mean? And to me, it would seem like this is something that is helping his relationship with his siblings because they're connecting regularly. And I don't see that it would be a hill that I would die on, but it seems like she's really pushing the issue hard. I mean, to delete the game from his PC after he leaves, that was just dirty. You can't do that.
That
If you want to
was.
be heard, you can talk about it, but it seems like she also wants more than just to be heard. She wants to be right, and she wants
Mhm.
him to make the decision that she wants him to make,
Yeah.
which, if you're going to get married, have that relationship with somebody, you have to be okay with letting some stuff go. You got to be okay with, there's give and take there. Yeah, maybe something bugs you, but you cannot hold on to all this stuff or you're going to have the worst marriage ever. I mean, it's just going to be conflict after conflict with this stuff. Pick your battles. If it makes him happy and he's connecting with his siblings, then oh, well, that's $90 a month that he spends, and accept it. You know,
Mhm.
if you really think that you need that extra $90 for something else, then maybe talk to him about it. But it doesn't sound like they're like super hard up for money or something. You know what I mean? Because he's been doing this for who knows how long before she came into the picture, too. Are they really that hard up that the $90 is going to make a big difference in their
Mhm.
budget? Like, doesn't sound, like they can't afford food or something like that. I could see that. Like,
Mhm.
if he was like, oh, well, I can't pay the electricity bill this month because I was, spent money on this game or I bought, Fortnite money or whatever it is. I don't know what it is, but then yeah, that's an issue because that's something that'll directly affect your quality of life. But if
Mhm.
it's just his hobby money that he's spending on this and that's what he chooses to do with it, let him do it. Like if his hobby is making paper mache busts of the, I don't know, the Blues Brothers, then who cares? Like my thing is always like, if you're in a relationship with somebody and this really makes your partner happy and it's not hurting anybody, let them be happy. Like, why do you have to feel the need to take away something that brings them joy? That doesn't make
Yeah.
sense to me. If it's a big deal, like, yeah, you're not paying your bills because of it, then yes, have a talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
If it's a health issue, like, hey, I know that you really love smoking, but you know, there's that whole cancer thing, then yeah, that's a concern. But if it's just he likes playing a game with his family, let it go. It can't be
That's the
that important.
thing. It was incredibly high-handed to delete the
Oh
game.
yeah,
Like that's idiotic child behavior, number one.
it is.
And
Yeah,
number two, like you're always pointing out, like, look at the bright side too. This dude is budgeting. You know what I mean?
that's true.
Doesn't sound like he's irresponsible, you know. And
It really doesn't, you know.
the fact that she was upset that he gave him $80 each for Christmas too. I was like, that's kind of low on the Christmas gift list, you know. Like that's
Yeah, well,
people spend a lot more money on Christmas than that.
they do, and you know, $80 each for his siblings for Christmas. If he has the money, let him spend it on them.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think there's something else going on there too. Like I said, I think that maybe she resents the fact that he plays the game, or maybe the time that he spends doing
Mhm.
it, or something like that. But I think this is one of those things where she needs to take a deep look at herself and her own motives. Really, really come up and ask herself some tough questions. Like, what are you really doing this for? You know,
Mhm.
what's your true motivation here? And you know, should you be in a relationship with this guy? You know, do you truly love him? Or is it just you've dated for a while, so you figured you get engaged and get married just because? Because, you know, like I said, you know, loving somebody means you want them to be happy. And if this is what makes him happy and it's not, you know, he's not committing murders or anything, then let
Mhm.
him do it. He's
Right.
playing a
Yeah.
game with his family. Like, I don't know.
Have you noticed though, like in most relationships, you have the one that yeah flies off the handle and deletes video games, and the other one that's like kind of chill and like doesn't really care.
Yeah, it seems a lot of this like polar opposite kind of thing where like one person is like doing their own thing and the other person comes in and is like, I'm gonna wreck everything. You're gonna, you know, do what I want you to do, and you can't order pizza at this restaurant, and you can't play this game that I don't like. And it's like, oh my God, no wonder people don't want to be in relationships anymore. Ugh, it's exhausting to even read these sometimes. You're just like, oh,
I know it's a
so many
lot.
red flags here, dude. Like, maybe just give it up. Maybe kick him out. Like, I don't know. I would probably not put up with that kind of stuff. I hate to say it, but
I
you
don't
also have
think
to
so.
understand your own self-worth. And is it worth it to get into, is making something like this a huge deal right out of the gate? Ugh, I don't think so. Because what else is going to be a big deal once they get more comfortable?
That's the thing, and it like they didn't preface it with the usual my partner's great except or like my partner's been arrested 17 times but he's better now or whatever like
Yeah.
we have no other backstory, so we're left to kind of believe that yeah probably everything else is fine. Maybe he leaves his socks on the bathroom floor every night, like something really benign. It doesn't sound like he's abusive or
No.
like he probably is the least complicated in this scenario. I wonder. I'm wondering now, like when we had TiVo, they're like, you wanted to watch all of Entourage. Well, you can't now. You made me mad.
I deleted all of them from your TiVo. Every episode.
They're like, I'll never get Entourage back again.
No. That's true though. And that stuff is just so immature. I hate the idea of people doing stuff like that. Ugh.
It is, yeah. Question
Talk about a
whether
red flag,
it's
you
time
know.
for a relationship, and yeah, letter writer dear. Maybe take a breath before you react to things, because
For
that was
sure.
pretty nuclear option. When you have to delete or destroy, that's nuclear.
Yeah. Am I the a-hole for not telling my sister that my nephew, who's an 18-year-old man, gave them 40-year-old male, 43-year-old female, and my niece's 17-year-old female, 16-year-old female edibles without their knowledge? It happened once last week, and they were all home. All right. So I told my sister, and she still has leftovers. She will confront my nephew. My nephew is a little on the wild side. Recently became open with cousins and friends about trying edibles. My sister and brother-in-law don't know about this. He lives in his own place and works responsibly. Anyway, my sister and brother-in-law are more on the conservative side, and they would never try edibles. My nephew told us that he gave them gummies once on Saturday during a movie night to help them loosen up. Everybody had gummies, Delta and THC, he said. Apparently, no harm was done since everyone is alive and well. I don't want to meddle, and I regret that he disclosed this to me. I'm not planning to say anything to anyone. Does that make me a bad person? Ooh, there's so many implications to this. And I know my first reaction is just to laugh at it because it's funny. But on an ethical side, you cannot give people drugs without their consent, dude. Like, even if you want them to loosen up, that's like really serious territory. This is it's just because of my feeling about stuff like this that I think it's hilarious that he did it. And I know that he's a younger guy, so he, doesn't quite have the mental fortitude to understand the ramifications of something like that. Man, that's tough. I don't know that I would say anything to the people he gave them to. I think I would have a long conversation with him and be like, bro, don't do this anymore. This could be like a real serious, like you get arrested type thing. Like you can't mess around with this stuff. As funny as it was, and it probably worked, you maybe just lay off that stuff for now, and maybe just eat them yourself if you don't want to deal with how uptight these people are, and don't give them out to people without their consent, especially underage people. That's a little sketch too. Although like I said, reading it just cracked me up. Like we've all seen movies and TV shows where like somebody accidentally eats the brownies, you know what I'm saying? And it's funny. So like, to me, like that was my first thought, is that like, could you imagine like you have guests over that are just unknowingly stoned and they don't know what's going on? It's kind of funny. But like I said too, ethically, that's a terrible situation to put yourself in. You can't do that to people. As someone on the outside, that's probably how I would manage it, is I would tell him, like, don't ever do that again.
Mm-hmm.
You could get in serious trouble. I don't think I would tell the people that he did it to. And that might be a gray area. People are going to agree or disagree, but I would chalk it up to he was being a stupid kid, no harm, no foul type of situation. Let's move on and learn something from this and call it gone. What do you think?
I'm totally appalled that he would give it to underage kids. You know what I mean? Like that gets a little bit.
Well, I thought about that too, and I was thinking like, well, if no one knows that they're edibles, you can't say, oh, these are gummies just for the adults, then they're going to ask questions, right?
Oh my gosh.
So he probably had to just be like, these are just candy that I have laying around and anybody can eat them, right? No. But then how do you limit them to only...
Oh no.
Like, what if somebody grabs like a handful?
Well, and then like, what if dad on Monday morning has a surprise, like drug test?
Oh my God.
Like,
yeah, well, see, there you go.
Bad.
Like,
it could have been
it could be really bad. As funny as it sounds, it really can have some pretty serious consequences.
And now they don't have any more chips in the house. Like, I mean, what is sorry.
They spent $60 at Taco Bell that night.
That
you
was their
know?
video game budget. You know, they
That
used
was
all
the
that.
budget, man. They blew it on gluten-free cauliflower pizza. That stuff isn't cheap either.
Oh my gosh. I just that was a thing, like having worked for some place that used to do like random drug testing. Like, yeah, you show up Monday morning and you have to do a test and they're like,
Oh my God.
you have pot in your system or whatever. Be like, yeah, how are you gonna explain that one? It wasn't mine. Like who the heck is gonna believe this shenanigan story? Or yeah, my 18-year-old decided to dose us all, you know, with gummies.
That could have gone bad really quickly too. If
It
he
could
was, oh man. But it would make a good episode of like that 70s show. Remember
It
that?
would. It would. Yeah.
Didn't his in that show, didn't his parents eat their magic brownies at one point
Mhm.
or
Yeah,
something
they
like that? I
got
thought I
all
remembered that.
wacky,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like, oh man.
Because we all needed to see Red High. That was pretty much it.
If you want to hear more of our wildly unqualified advice, or if you have a story you'd like to share, send us an email at sincerelytactlesspod@gmail.com. You can send us a tweet at sinceretactless on Twitter. And we also accept voice messages at anchor.fm/sincerelytactless. And that's all for now. Thanks for riding with us on this crazy train and not losing your portefeuille. Until next time, stay cano, friends.